Did you know that St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, was not even Irish? Quite the plot twist, isn't it? Despite being the face of all things Irish, St. Patrick was, in fact, born in Britain during the late 4th century, a time when the Roman Empire still had a tight grip on the region. Growing up, his life was pretty unremarkable until, at the tender age of 16, a band of Irish raiders dramatically changed his fate. They kidnapped young Patrick, taking him across the sea to the Emerald Isle, where he spent 6 grueling years in captivity. His days were spent working as a shepherd, alone with his thoughts and the bleating sheep. But adversity often brings enlightenment. It was during these lonely years that Patrick turned to his faith, finding solace and strength in religion. After half a dozen years of isolation, Patrick managed to escape his captors. A dream led him to a getaway ship, and he found himself back on British soil. But the island he had left behind had profoundly changed him. He studied to become a cleric and felt a calling to return to Ireland, this time not as a captive, but as a missionary. His mission was to convert the Irish people, who were then practicing Celtic polytheism, to Christianity. So the man who is now synonymous with Irish culture and identity was, ironically, not Irish by birth. Quite the twist in the tale, wouldn't you agree? Green is the color we all associate with St. Patrick's Day. But would you believe that it wasn't always the case? Let's take a step back in history. The color that was originally associated with St. Patrick was not green, but blue. In fact, a specific shade known as St. Patrick's blue was his symbolic hue. This color can still be seen on old depictions of St. Patrick and on the flag of the President of Ireland, a nod to the history of the Emerald Isle. So, how did green become the color of St. Patrick's Day? Well, it has a lot to do with Irish folklore. In these tales, the color green was a symbol of life and rebirth, echoing the lush landscapes of the country. The color green was also believed to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck, a belief that resonated with the Irish people. The shift from blue to green was further fueled by the Irish independence movement in the 18th century. The color green was adopted by the movement as a symbol of rebellion against British rule. It was during this time that green became the color associated with Ireland, and by extension, St. Patrick's Day. Next time you don green for St. Patrick's Day, remember that the original color was a stately blue. St. Patrick's Day is known for its lively celebrations and free-flowing beer, but surprisingly, it was once a dry holiday in Ireland. It sounds almost unthinkable today, but there was a time when the lively, beer-filled festivities we now associate with St. Patrick's Day were nowhere to be found in Ireland. For many centuries, St. Patrick's Day was a solemn, quiet affair, deeply rooted in the country's religious traditions. The day was dedicated to the saint who, as legend has it, converted the Irish to Christianity. This meant attending church services, praying, and reflecting. Not exactly the raucous celebrations we're familiar with today. In fact, for a good part of the 20th century, a law was in place that mandated that all pubs be closed on March 17th. Yes, you heard that right. On the day we now associate with rounds of Guinness and lively Irish music, the taps in Irish pubs were firmly off. This law was in place until the early 1970s, a testament to the deeply religious and somber nature of the holiday. But how did we go from a quiet, dry holiday to the global celebration of Irish culture and heritage we see today? Well, this transformation has a lot to do with how St. Patrick's Day was celebrated in other countries, particularly the United States. Irish immigrants in the United States transformed the day into a celebration of their Irish heritage, complete with parades, music, and yes, lots of beer. As these celebrations grew more popular and visible, they started to influence how St. Patrick's Day was celebrated back in Ireland. Slowly but surely, the holiday began to lose its solemnity and gained a more festive, lively character. The lifting of the pub closure law in the 1970s certainly helped in this regard. So, while you're enjoying your pint of Guinness this St. Patrick's Day, spare a thought for the not-so-distant past, when the day was a decidedly sober affair. After all, it's a fascinating tale of how cultural exchanges can transform traditions in unexpected ways.